Your operating agreement will say what your initial contribution to the business is going to be. And there's in most operating agreements, there's also provision that says you are allowed to put more money in, but you are not obligated to put more money in. And since every company, every LLC needs to have a separate bank account from the individual who owns it, you could keep putting money in there to cover operating costs from the company. And depending on how your operating agreement is set up, you may also be able to recoup some of that money once profits are generated. So let's say you put in $2,000 in the company to get the book out the door, then you do a Kickstarter and you make $5,000. You would have every legal right to take the initial $2,000 you put in, to take it out because you're actually recouping your investment. As long as you actually have documentation of everything that's happening, you should be fine.
That's pretty cool. So I've heard this term, especially when I went through this corporation. I told you before went through a corporation years ago. This term called, like piercing the corporate veil, right? And I used to argue with the bank all the time because they wanted my name on it. And I'm like, I'm not putting my name on it. Like, I'm not signing for this. The company's signing for it. And they're like, well, we don't care. You're signing for it. How do you how do you navigate that?
Well, in many cases, if you're a what's called a single member LLC, what the bank is trying to do, the bank is trying to go past your corporation and attach you to all of the transactions because they are guessing that your single member LLC doesn't have a lot of assets.
Right.
So if they could get you to sign all the documents as an individual, then if something happens and they need to go after assets, they want to go after yours. They don't want to go after your companies because they know your company doesn't have very much. What some people do, depending on your level of affluence and how much money you actually have, is, and depending on your financial situation, I've had clients a long time ago who every time this individual, he was basically he was an angel investor. And every time he was going to do an investment, he would form another company. That company he would then put money into that company, and that company would then make the investment. The investment was lost. He couldn't care less because it was basically just a tax write off as far as he was concerned. In certain cases, however, he took a lot of his money and put it into corporations. So when someone wanted to come after him and his assets, it's like, well, that's fine. You could come after me, my assets. I don't have anything.